to all of you. This is Devan Chandra Singh from Department of Physiotherapy and Diagnosis from Vidyapeeth University. So for today's topic, I'll be discussing about vitamin D. So vitamin D is also known as cholecalciferol. So how is this vitamin formed first of all? Vitamin D is basically derived from 7-dehydrocholesterol or ergosterol by the action of ultraviolet radiations, 7-dehydrocholesterol, which is an intermediate of a minor pathway of cholesterol synthesis and is available in malpighian layer of epidermis. So in the skin, ultraviolet light, such as which is 290 to 315 nanometer, breaks the bonds between position 9 and 10 of the steroid ring. So the ring D is opened to form the provitamin cecosterol, and the cis double bond between fifth and sixth carbon atoms is then isomerized to a trans double bond, and then which on rotation of sixth carbon atom to give rise to vitamin D3 or cholecalciferol. Now, so vitamin D is called as sunshine vitamin. So skin is the largest organ in the body, and it makes about 16% of the body weight, and it is kept nourished by a quarter of body's blood supply, and it is the temperature regulator of the body. So the production of vitamin D in the skin is directly proportional to the exposure to sunlight and inversely proportional to the pigmentation of skin. So an increase in solar zenith angle during November to March shifts the wavelength of UV rays to longer wavelength, which will not produce vitamin, and hence the vitamin deficiency is seen in winters. Now, commercially, the vitamin is derived from fungus ergot. So the ergosterol, when treated with ultraviolet light, ergocalciferol or vitamin D2 is produced. The ergocalciferol differs in having an unsaturation in the side chain and an extra methyl group. Now, how is vitamin D activated? So basically, vitamin D is a prohormone. The cholecalciferol is first transported to liver when hydroxylation at 25th position occurs. So to form 25-hydroxycholecalciferol, the hepatic 25-hydroxylase is a microsomal monooxygenase, and the product of gene CYP27A1. It requires chromosome P450 and NADPH, and 25-HCC is the major storage form. In plasma, 25-HCC is bound to vitamin D binding protein, which is an alpha-2 globulin, and in kidney, it is further hydroxylated at first position, which is the 1-alpha hydroxylate, which is located in mitochondria of proximal convoluted tubules, and the product of the genes CYP27B1. So it requires chromosome P450, NADPH, and ferredoxin, which is an iron sulfur protein. So thus 125-dihydroxycholecalciferol is generated, and since it contains 3 hydroxyl groups at 1, 3, and 25 positions, it is called calcitriol. Now the calcitriol thus formed is the active form of vitamin, so it is a hormone. Now 24,25 dihydroxy cholecalciferol, it may be formed by hydroxylation of 25-HCC at the 24th position, and the relative inactive product PTH is released in response to low serum calcium, and it induces the production of calcitriol. So in contrast, reduced levels of PTH, they stimulate synthesis of inactivate 24,25 dihydroxy D3. Now the calcitriol will bind to its highly specific nuclear receptor VDR, which forms a heterodimeric complex with RXR, which is retinoid X receptor, which binds to VDRE, which is vitamin D response element on DNA, and modulates the transcriptional activity of vitamin D responsive genes. So most organs and tissues in body, they express the VDR, which modulate the expression of more than 500 genes, and this activation takes place within minutes. So apart from this nuclear receptor, the another membrane specific receptor for calcitriol has been described. So vitamin D is also necessary for signal transduction mechanisms in all the organs, especially in your brains and your immune system. So, what is the biochemical effect of vitamin D basically? So, it may be divided into calcemic and extracalcemic effects. So, calcemic effects are exerted at intestinal villi cells, bone osteoblasts, and kidney distal tubular cells. Now, vitamin D and absorption is helpful in absorption of calcium. So, calcitriol, it promotes the absorption of calcium and phosphorus from the kidney. So, on the brush surface, calcium is absorbed passively and from intestinal cells to blood. So, absorption of calcium needs energy, and it is either by sodium calcium exchange mechanism or by pumping out the calcium binding complex. Now, calcitriol, it acts like a steroid hormone. So, on entering the cell, it binds to a specific nuclear receptor, which is VDR, and it binds to VDRE on elements upon forming a dimer with RXR. So, transcriptional activation of specific genes that code for cal binding occurs, and due to increased availability of calcium binding protein, the absorption of calcium is increased. So this was all about the vitamin D and calcium absorption with the help of vitamin D. Now its further effect on bones and your kidneys we'll see in next lecture. So until then, if you have any doubts regarding the topic, you can contact me. And take care.